Hi, my name is Robert Klinder, and I'm a professor of linguistics at the University of California, San Diego. And I've been asked to talk to you about the role of language with regard to exploring the human-ape paradox. Now, conveniently enough, within discussions of the evolution of language, there is an explicitly named paradox called the discontinuity paradox, which has to do with the fact that it seems that what we can do with language is much more than animals are capable of in their own communication systems. So the content of this paradox is basically, is there a sort of steady trajectory, continuum of abilities that accumulate leading up to human language? Or is there an inseparable gulf between what we're able to do on the one hand and what animals are able to do in their communication systems? Now, the problem here, of course, is that all of the intermediate hominin species that existed for millions of years are no longer with us. So we can't test them even if they would let us. I got interested in these discussions when I took it upon myself to offer a lower division undergraduate class that was kind of an introduction to language, where I eliminated all formal and technical aspects of analysis in linguistics and just focused on user-friendly topics. And I realized it was going to be inevitable that I was going to have to talk about animal communication, which I was actually dreading because at the time it didn't have a very good reputation and the research wasn't that great. But as I got into it over the years, I became more and more interested in it. And that led to my interest in questions of evolution of language. In this talk, what I'm going to do is focus on four main characteristics of human language. The first one is what we call symbolic reference, because we use symbols in language, and the extent to which animals are capable of using them on their own or learning them when exposed to human environments. And we use a very specific definition of symbol in this discussion, which rules out a lot of other possible sign types. The second characteristic I talk about is what's often referred to as displaced reference. That refers to the fact that if I want you to understand what I mean, I don't need to say book in order for you to understand that. Rather, for example, last night I had a phone conversation, i.e. at some geographical distance, with a friend about the plot, i.e. the completely fabricated fictional account of people who never existed, of a book that I do not own and in fact have never read, that was written 2 centuries ago on another continent. That's the extent to which we are able to talk about things that are not immediately present. The other 2 characteristics that I talk about are a little more technical, so it's probably best to review those in the talk itself, where I'm able to contextualize them a little better. But in brief, for present purposes, one of those is our ability to combine meaningless elements to form meaningful elements in language. In spoken language, that would be the sounds, the sound inventory of a language, and how those sounds recombine to form different words. In sign, that would be the individual manual features that are manipulated to compose signs. So that would be hand shape, palm orientation, movement through space, and place of articulation on the body where the sign is produced. And then the final characteristic I talk about, it relates to the ability to take these meaningful units constructed from meaningless elements and put those together to create higher level units of meaning. So that would be equivalent to putting together parts of words like prefixes and suffixes to form words, and putting words together to form phrases and sentences. So in the end, we take stock of how animals measure up on all these parameters, and in particular the apes, and see how they do. So I hope you'll enjoy the talk and perhaps learn something about language that you didn't know before. Thanks very much.